Hey everybody, welcome to Jeep Tracks. I apologize that we skipped an episode last week, but I was under the weather and, well, the weather itself wasn't very cooperative either. I promised you Idaho Springs and, well, here we go. Idaho Springs is one of my favorite towns that is close to Denver. Now, Idaho Springs sits in Clear Creek County, and there are so many trails, so many activities, and so much amazing scenery. There are so many good restaurants, superb camping, fishing. I mean, if it's Colorado, you're going to find a little bit of the best right here. I also want to give a big thank you to the ladies at the Idaho Springs Visitor Center and Museum. They were so friendly and helpful. And also, thank you for this book. It's called Tailings, Tracks, and Tommyknockers, A History of Clear Creek County. Now, it's available at the Idaho Springs Visitor Center gift shop for only $19.99. And this book is full of history of Clear Creek County and the places, the events, and the people who lived and still live there. And also for $5 more, you can become a member of the Clear Creek County Historical Society. And I call this series Jeep Tracks, and in the preface of this book, I found this little piece I wanted to share with you because, well, this is why I titled my series the way that I did. Like I said, the book is titled Tailings, Tracks, Tommyknockers, and here's the little piece. Many varieties of tracks have crossed this county, other than those of wild animals. The Indian, the trapper, the Spanish treasure hunter, the prospector, wagons, stagecoaches, and locomotives, and the motorized traffic of today have all left their imprint on the pattern of the development of the life of Clear Creek County. Thus the word tracks in the book title, and thus the word tracks in our series. And the ladies there also said that the gift shop would be closed for a period of time in February for a remodel, so I'm excited to see that when it's completed. You can find the museum and the gift shop at 2060 Minor Street in Idaho Springs. That's 2060 Minor Street in Idaho Springs. And also, visit their website at visitidahospringscolorado.com. Once again, that's visitidahospringscolorado.com. Idaho Springs can thank a guy by the name of George Jackson from Missouri for their existence today. Now, George left Missouri in 1858 and he set out to find gold. He was on a hunting trip with a partner when George decided he wanted to venture on up the Vasquez Fork a little further. Well, his partner gave up and returned to Denver. Now, in the past, we have spoke of the Vasquez Fork. That is where John Gregory, where he followed it and found gold in what is now known as Gregory Gulch, now Central City in Blackhawk. Well, it was the same Vasquez Fork where George Jackson discovered gold at the confluence of what is known as Chicago Creek and the Vasquez Fork. Now, the name of the Vasquez was changed to Clear Creek a few years later, and no one seems to know why. And at this time, Colorado was still part of the Kansas Territory. Colorado wasn't even a state yet. Now, in the dead of winter, it was said that George built a bonfire on a sandbar where the Chicago Creek and Clear Creek, where they met at, in order to thaw the sand, and this was January of 1859, so it was really cold. And using his hunting knife and his tin drinking cup, he began to pan, and it was here that he found several nuggets of gold, and well, the rest is history. By the time the news got out, the gold rush began. At one time, shortly thereafter, there were over 12,000 people in this area that were seeking their fortunes from the gold diggings and taking care of the miners with saloons and hotels and boarding houses and mercantiles, stamping mills, and so much more. Today, a monument stands in the place where George Jackson made his gold discovery. It was erected in 1909, celebrating the 50th anniversary of his claim, and it was rededicated in 2009 on the 150th anniversary of the find. And the rock on top represents a nugget of gold that was discovered. Now, you can find this just south of the exit on Highway 103, just south of Idaho Springs, on your right-hand side. Now, on February 24th of 1873, the Colorado Central line from Forks Creek to Idaho Springs and Floyd Hill was finally completed. Now, keep in mind, the addition of a railroad servicing these young towns and mining camps, well, it meant growth and success. With the addition of a rail line, these places now had access to supplies, mail, passengers. The Colorado Central Railroad, controlled by a gentleman named W.A.H. Loveland, remember him from the last episode? Well, now he would play a role in the growth and development of Idaho Springs and all of Clear Creek County, including Georgetown, Silver Plume, Dumont, just to name a few. And in the beginning, there were over 50,000 miners that flocked to Clear Creek Canyon and into Central City, Blackhawk, Idaho Springs, and on up the creek. And it didn't take long for the placer gold to dry up. Now, placer gold is the gold that you can pan from the creek or find close to the surface. The mother lode, however, is down below ground, and here it was like a few thousand feet. To get to that, Mines were dug, however, water would fill the mines and make retrieving it almost impossible, and pumps at that time could not keep up with the water that was flowing from the mines in Central City downhill to Idaho Springs. Well, along comes a man by the name of Samuel Newhouse, and he was a mining magnate. He had the idea to construct what would become the world's longest mining tunnel and a large mining operation. Construction began in 1893, and it wasn't completed until 1910. The tunnel was 4.6 miles long. Now, this tunnel would cross through most of the mines already in operation and allow for the water to be drained from the mines. He called it the Argo Mine, and the Argo Tunnel would prove successful, providing the necessary logistics to remove the ore from the mines, and he processed over 300 tons of ore per day. This operation ran 24 hours a day. In the meantime, more businesses were built, fine homes were constructed, and people came to make their fortunes, not in just mining, but in businesses like hotels, boarding houses, saloons, blacksmiths, stores, and so much more. And many of these original buildings are still in use, and the Clear Creek Historical Society has done such an amazing job of protecting these buildings and the heritage of Clear Creek County. Now today, Idaho Springs is a tourist destination, and it's a 40-mile drive for Denver, and it offers the small town feel with the beautiful scenery, a historical downtown lined with, gift shops and art and antiques and museums and wonderful restaurants. And there's also ample lodging with 5 motels, numerous bed and breakfast locations, cabin rentals, and Indian Hot Springs Hotel. Now, Indian Hot Springs, well, that has quite a history as well. Remember George Jackson, the guy who discovered the gold? Well, he saw what he thought was smoke and believed it was an encampment of Indians. So he kind of approached rather cautiously to get a look, and instead he found green grass in the dead of winter and a herd of mountain sheep grazing and the hot springs emerging from Soda Creek. Today you will find a resort complete with a hotel, a pool, caves with private pools all nestled on the Soda Creek surrounded by nature. Now, if adventure is in your nature, you'll find whitewater rafting, mountain climbing, hiking trails, campgrounds, tours such as the Argo Mine, and south of Idaho Springs about 14 miles is Mount Evans with an altitude of 14,271 feet, the highest peak along the Front Range. The first known person to reach the summit was a guy by the name of Albert Bernstadt, a famous landscape artist. In 1895, he named the mountain after his soon-to-be wife, Rosalie, but the mountain was later named after John Evans, the second territorial governor of Colorado. Now, you can drive up to the summit, and the road is open in the late spring throughout the summer, weather permitting. And when the road was completed in 1930, well, it was the highest road in America, and that title eventually went to the Pikes Peak Highway. Now, I fished at Echo Lake at the base of Mount Evans, and I've caught some nice trout, and it's also a beautiful hike around that lake. You're going to find a gift shop, and I'm trying to do this from memory here, but if I recall, there are a few other amenities around there also. And you're also going to find an abundance of wildlife such as buffalo and mountain goats, amongst so many other things. Now, if you like camping where there are restrooms and established trails, campsites, and room for an RV, then West Chicago Creek Campground is a beautiful place, and there are several nice hiking trails. What a staycation. Come to Idaho Springs, and it may only be 40 miles from the city, but it feels like hundreds of miles. There is something for everyone, and I give this city and county 5 stars, even though I really don't have a star rating. I personally spend a lot of time here. I've driven most of the area's trails, and we've adopted Hidden Trail unofficially and clean up the trash several times a year, which brings me to this point. Colorado has a fragile and unique ecosystem, as do most places. Anything you bring in, please take back out. There are no maid services to clean up the trash. If you find trash that someone else left, please pick it up and take it out with you. As the population of Colorado and the Front Range grows, it is imperative that each and every one of us do our part to keep Colorado and the Rocky Mountains clean and beautiful. And only have campfires where campfires are permitted. And if you do have a campfire, make sure it is extinguished completely before leaving. We're going to be producing quite a few videos this spring on proper mountain etiquette and instructional videos. So we're going to finish this video with coming down one of the area trails here in Idaho Springs. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and a share, and also please hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is going to be released. And like always, get outside.